Welcome to week 5. This is Andrew Sears again, and in this week we're going to be going through workbook 4. But a lot of this week is doing a deeper dive on customers. You're going to be going into things like your customer channels and other materials. But the major project this week is going to be to revise your business model canvas. So this is based on your customer stakeholder feedback and other things you've learned in the course. So the idea is that, your conversations you had last week was essentially a test. So, using scientific method, you had a hypothesis and you tested it. So what did you learn from that? Is the market problem urgent? And is it pervasive? Will there be other revenue streams will there be a revenue stream for this? And, what direction should you take? Now, it's entirely fine in this course to say, I think that my plan A is not going to work and I'm going to come up with a completely new plan. Now, if the plan's slightly related to your first plan, people call that a pivot. If it's a completely new plan, then that's, you're dropping your plan, you're moving on. That's why you use a business model canvas, because it doesn't make as big a deal. So what you're going to do is you're going to update your problem statement. So, try to update some of these are revising similar questions you had before. What are they trying to achieve, their objectives, and how the problem they face and how the problem impacts their objective. And then what you want to do is you want to start to go deeper on your customers. So you may have found out, you tried 2 customers in different segments and you realized, a particular segment wouldn't work. So with City Vision, we're always, doing this type of learning. And you, we'll start to list out the type of target customers and the target customer category. So who's the target customer? And here what you're going to try to get into is personas. In the book, business model generation. So there's optional reading, but it's really, really good reading. So I'd encourage you to do it. We didn't want to overload you. But it gets into, how do you write customer personas and how do you, do their storytelling. And, this can be helpful for grant writing or other things, but it's also helpful for just conceptualizing how you're doing that. So just trying to break this down. And this, again, is analysis that you'll combine, more later. And answering these questions. So here's what you want to answer is, is your understanding of the customer problem accurate and relevant? Does the MVP solve the customer's problem? Does the product or problem solve it better than the market? And, try to answer each of these questions based on your conversations. And if you need to have more conversations with potential customers to answer these, feel free to continue having these. But you want to be able to answer these. And you might need again, for some of these, you might need to, if you're doing both funders and clients, you might need to make 2 copies or, give answers for each category. So then you can revise your value proposition and, fill out this question and go through. And this is really trying to use a positioning statement. So this is for your customer, who they're having this situation or, what's unique, what it offers, unlike other other competitors. And so now the other thing is to recognize the big picture of channels. The basic idea on channels is that you're going to acquire, then you're going to activate them. So Facebook was really good at creating this viral loop. So if you have a nonprofit, you might, get a client and then, say you're serving the addicted, a client who's addicted. Well, he probably knows a lot of other people who are addicted and he might be able to bring in more clients. The same type of thing might happen with donors. So you get a donor and then you activate them and you try to get them to bring their friends to a dinner, and then they can become donors. And then you're going to be keeping them. And then there's these terms in business: upsell, next sell, cross sell, referrals. So, upsell might be for donors to make them into a major donor. next sell might be, having a different product. You might have an auction. So then they would do, another way of donating. Cross sell, this isn't necessarily donors, but that would be where you work with a partner and you might go in for a joint grant or something in referrals that, they later also continue the viral loop. And you'll have different ways of getting them. So earned media. So this could be, ads that you do. This could be, online ads. It could be billboards. It could be, mail, direct mail, and things along those lines. So part of what we're going to want you to do is to fill in these elements, right? How will you acquire? So that's the get. How are you going to keep? How are you going to grow? And then do you have ideas for how you can do these upsell, next sell, cross sell? And then trying to better understand these customers. These are all questions just to do a deeper dive on the customers. And then competition. Who else is there? What's your advantage? So we want you to fill all those out. And the whole purpose of this week, and I realize it's going to be a lot of work to fill out all of those, is we want you to do another version on this. And I expect your version on this to be at least 50% different than your first version. If it's 90% the same, then you're doing a business plan, not a business model. There should be more things changing. So, we need to demonstrate that you've both learned more advanced concepts, but also are learning as you're interviewing more customers. So, again, if you have any questions, and you could start with a copy of, the business model canvas you had in the previous week, but just make sure you do a lot of changes to it, add more detail. I personally prefer having a detailed plan that covers all my bases, but some people like to keep it, more simple. But I think for this course, it's probably better to be a little more detailed. So if you have any questions, ask your faculty member. Thanks.